So here's the thing. As much as I love IKEA furniture, the Detolf scares me. And it is my arch nemesis. So I've already made 2 of these Detolf display cabinets to varying degrees of success. I haven't broken any of the glass or anything like that. It's not been horrific, but it's just me doing it. And that does present a certain challenge with trying to do any IKEA furniture, but generally speaking, I can do it. But what I find really difficult with these is that the way in which the instructions tell you to do it. I mean, yes, the instructions do tell you to use 2 people, admittedly, but as I say, I can normally compensate for that. That isn't the problem that I have with it. The problem that I have with it is that it's scary because it's glass, so you're always kind of worried about putting too much pressure on it and breaking it, obviously. But the other issue that I have with it is that you have to manipulate it in such a way that it's just not, it doesn't want to do it, to my mind. I mean, I may be missing a trick here, so do tell me in the comments if I'm doing this horribly wrong for some reason. But I'm doing it like the instructions say, and it just does not seem to work for me at all. I believe they may even be retiring the Detolf, although I'm not quite sure about that. I've seen another video where they suggest that might be the case. But the thing is, I've looked at my Billy bookcases, which I normally use for this sort of thing, and the Detolf is better in terms of the shelf size. It's better, but that being said, I've had to go third party to get extra shelves for the Detolf, because the Billy you can buy IKEA shelves for, and it's designed to take more shelves really easily. And I believe now you can even get fully glass doors for the Billies as well, whereas originally I had to get glass doors with a sort of frame around them of wood, which looks really nice, but it does block some of what you're trying to display, which is irritating. So I think for a lot of people, Detolfs have been the display cabinet of choice, but you do end up with a lot of wasted space, and they're also not as tall as the Billies. So it's kind of swings and roundabouts, and I believe there are other options around in IKEA now, but when I looked at them, I mean, they were more expensive than an individual Detolf unit for not a lot more storage, because although they look bigger, they were often bigger just because they had legs, which doesn't actually give you any more storage space. It just means they start higher up. That's it. So I got a number of Detolf units. I made 2, sweated blood and tears over them doing it by myself. So I'm going to try and do something a little bit different with this attempt. Now, I've unboxed both of the boxes one after another, in part to show you what's in them, but in part because I've got a cunning plan in mind. Now, interestingly, in looking at the instructions again, this is page 6, I've noticed here that this might be the point at which I've been going a little bit wrong in terms of how I've been handling this, because if you look really carefully, you can see that this plastic strip that they're showing that you have to attach to the back piece of glass here, which is labelled number 1, it mustn't actually go all the way into the grooves that you can see on the piece on the floor there. So what they're saying is you stop short with the plastic so you don't put it into the grooves. And I think that might be what's been causing me the problems, because if you do that, your next step is to put this piece of glass with its plastic protector on the bottom into this piece of plastic. What I found last time was that I simply could not get it to go in very easily at all. But that, I think, was because, based on something that happened with my first attempt, I put this plastic all the way into the groove, thinking that was what you were supposed to do. But I actually think it's telling you not to do that. So what I'm going to still do is a bit of a variation on these instructions. I'm actually going to go off and away from these instructions and do it in a slightly different way, just to see if I can make it work, because I think that doing it the way I'm thinking of doing it might make it easier for you if you're doing it solo. So I'm going to see. So what I've done as a first step here is attach the plastic grips to the side of the piece of glass marked 1, which is different to what the manual says. So obviously, if you're not comfortable going off the manual, don't go off the manual. This is just a suggestion. It's entirely up to you and what you choose to do this. So this is what it's going to look like now when I prop it up into the white base. But what I'm actually going to do now is see if I can get the glass sides onto it now so that they're pre-made in effect, because I think that will just allow me to drop it as a whole into the white base when I'm ready to do that. So let's see how I get on. So it's probably quite hard to make this out on camera, but if you see along here, that is the side of piece 1, and above it is the side panel that I've now managed to get into place. So that wasn't too difficult, actually. I'm going to see if I can get the second one on now. Right, well, definitely doable. I've now got both sides on it. It's not wanting to fall over onto itself, but I've got a piece of cardboard in the middle just in case. And all the plastic protection on the bottom foot is at the same level. So hopefully that should then just be happy when it gets slotted into the white base unit. So I'm going to construct the white base unit and the inside struts. But the one tip on that is to make sure you put the shelf supports on the inside of the glass, so that they're facing inwards into the centre of the unit, and then you won't have any problems when you come to try and put the shelves on later. That just gives them that much extra support. And then I'll see if I can slot this glass into place after that. Right, a short while later, and I've got the sort of ladder in place, and now I'm going to see if this will actually work as a concept, I suppose. Let's have a look. The slight snag is that the glass is going to bend in on itself a little bit, so it's not quite as wide as it needs to be initially to accommodate the ladders. But let's just do this. To the end there. Now then, it's where the real fun begins, because I've got to see if I can coax the plastic into the end. I don't want to try lifting it up, because the whole point of this is that it's supposed to be straightforward if there's just one of you. So I'm just going to try this first, and then I'll see how it goes. That's one side happily in. That's two sides. And then it's just the back. So it may be that if I do just lift it as a unit, it'll just it will slot in quite happily. I think I probably just need to lift it. Unless I do this. See, from that position, I could probably just do it straight, but it's difficult with it resting on everything else to convince it to go in, so I think it would have to be tilted up to do it. Which is where it does get a little bit tricky. I'm just going to go off camera and see if I can do it. Well, to my own mild surprise, it actually worked really, really well. I couldn't quite keep it together as I was bringing it up because it needs the gravity to put it into the grooves basically. But as you can see, it's slotted in really, really nicely, and that's a much cleaner fit than I've had before. Certainly the last time I tried it, but I suspect that the problem with what I was doing last time was that I put these two these sort of holding plastic segments too far down. So when you try and then tip the sides into it, the corners fight with the plastic. But the problem is, I still think you'd hit the plastic. You probably wouldn't get as much resistance because it could come out away from the groove then, because it wouldn't be in the groove. But the way I've just done it, if you're solo, I think probably is more straightforward because you're not trying to balance the glass vertically as much and then sort of slot it in. So just doing it like that in one unit, whilst it's a little bit scary, it actually isn't too bad. So as long as you've got a soft floor to do it with, because obviously as you've seen, I've been doing this all on a rug. You know, if you can do that, then you can probably get it done fairly straightforwardly. And then the rest of it is pretty straightforward after that. I just need to put the plastic top piece on, put the top on, and sort the door out, and hopefully it will all sit quite happily. So, you know, let me know in the comments if you do try it for yourself, because I think it is workable if you're careful and you've got a reasonable amount of, you know, strength to do it. But it's not like you're lifting lots of wood. It's only 3 pieces of glass. You've just got to have the courage to apply a little bit of gentle pressure to the glass when you need to, which is the freaky part of doing the Detolf, it has to be said. But, you know, it is what it is. And, you know, I'll leave some, well, actually, I won't put some links in, but if you look on eBay, you will find places that sell extra shells for Detolfs. Again, you'll have to install them yourself, which means messing with this a little bit. But I've tried some from eBay, about 45 British pounds. And they seem to be working pretty well, touch wood. So, you know, it's certainly an option if you need to get more use out of it. Because the only downside with these, again, as against the billies, is that you can't get as many shells in at all. So you've got 3 shells, so you end up with 4 usable cubicles. But they're really tall, so unless you're stacking really tall figures in them, you're going to find you have a lot of dead space. So, you know, you're going to probably need the extra shells if, like me, you're just using them for relatively small items. But obviously that's entirely up to your good selves. So, I hope that's been moderately entertaining and moderately useful. And with that, I will leave you because I need to finish off constructing yet another one that you can see in the background over there. Cheers for now.